we're gonna do a talk through on.
Have you sent it? Oh no, you're putting it there. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna put it there. Is that all right? Oh, I've really messed this up. This is so difficult. Okay, so
no need to show it because we'll put the clip up.
Okay, no need to show it. Okay, so you drop into the Vanta line and you sort of have one long and low. You don't need to go as fast as you think for that. You then have these two hips. They're actually quite big before you hit the nose tap stone thing. I would advise jumping straight over the nose tap stone thing on your first run. You'll probably go deep, but it's worth it. The tree jump. One thing I was actually scared of, but you can go to the right of the tree and you're safe. Next jump, you'd have to carry a bit of speed on. It's like an on-off, and then there's a transfer that caused some problems. Now you're into the motorway section, into the whoops. You're going over the hips. This is quite hard. You're now into the big jumps. Now the big jumps are actually quite hard to judge speed because there's a lot of time before. So I would suggest going a little bit slower than what you actually think. The landing's steeper than you think. It's more dirt jumpy than you might expect from a bike park trail, and certainly the rest of the stuff at Bikepark Wales. Once you got through those two big uns, honestly, life is good. You've got a clear way to the end, and you can turn left or right off the final hip. Nice. I don't know if that section worked. I don't know.
I liked it, dude. It was nice to hear a rundown. To be fair, that was cool. That was dope. Okay.
But in terms of actually what you, it's in when you're riding a new trail, new jump line, something sketchy. What sort of technique do you use? Because I have a few psychologically that help me.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, riding a new trail. Let me have a little think about this.
Yeah.
Again, coming from the old moto background, I am a bit of a fan of having a walk down first, or at least a very slow
Good
roll.
on you, absolutely.
Because you can't just go hell for leather into these things, especially dirt jumps or something like that. So I'm going to take a steady roll down. I'm going to look at everything. I'm really bad at remembering where things are on track.
Yeah.
Like I get blinded and I'm just like, is this go right? Does this go left? I can't remember. So I do like to get it into my head a little bit. I guess then it'd be a case of just trying to pop over everything. Don't try and stay long and low. Don't try and scrub anything. Don't try and do anything silly. Not that fucking I sound like I'm bloody Brendan Fairclough saying that, but like I'm just going to literally try and get over everything. No style points, nothing like that. Just getting over stuff. And then I think that's it. I'm trying to think. I mean, you mentioned psychology, but for me, it's just a case of just getting through. And then once you've got through a couple of times, then you can start playing around with stuff, maybe trying to hit it slower, boosting off things a little bit more. That's kind of where I'm at.
So I think one of the most important things is you don't psych yourself out. And if you think about anything in life, something in its entirety can be overwhelming. Whereas when you break it down into smaller steps, it becomes manageable. So if after you've walked down a trail, I would have key points, key things to remember, and the rest of it, don't stress. So let's say on the Vanta line, I would say one of the key points would be, probably one of the things that people would be worried about would be the rock nose bonk thing. Yeah. So all you have to remember about the rock nose bonk thing is just jump it straight first. Don't try and tap the rock. So that's all you have to remember about that feature. Just remember that. Then you might have someone might tell you, push for this feature. Just remember to push for that feature, because then you know, if you trust what they're saying, that's what you have to remember. Don't try and remember the whole line, like now this, now this, now this, because it's built to work. So
it's built to flow.
Exactly.
From the bike park perspective, this is a pretty big step, really, because they've put some stuff in there which is quite sizable. Now, that must take... Obviously, it's a lot of work. They want to make sure everything does work and it flows. But also, that adds an extra element of danger to everything, do you think? Or do you think it's all relative into skill and the fact that all trails are quite dangerous if you are a dangerous person on a bike, if that makes any sense?
Yeah. I think, like, the number of... Yeah, well, they know more than anyone where the accidents happen, and it's not necessarily on the biggest features.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Totally.
Because it's a qualifier for skill, so, without... like, the crashes are going to happen on the blues, really, I would have thought most of the time. It'd be interesting to talk to someone about it. It'd be fascinating. But I think it's rad that bike parks do it, and I'd love to see more of it. The fact that they have these kind of, I guess you could call them aspirational lines. Like, I think it's so good. It'd be too easy. Dude, I tell you what, the Olly Wilkins bike park, it would just be like, it would be like a roller coaster literally a roller coaster of rollers and berms. I wouldn't be trying to build anything sketchy because I'd be terrified because I'm a chicken. I'd be terrified of people coming off and hurting themselves.
That's a good point.
Because I'm a sissy lala. So I think it's really cool when people actually try and build these lines, and it does like push our like sport in general and riding forwards. Particularly if you're a kid, dude. Imagine you're a kid and just all you've got is just like blue trails to ride.
Yeah.
You might get a bit bored.
Like I say, I think I never really thought about it from like an aspirational thing. I guess because you're in this scene so much, you never really think about that. But for someone who's relatively new to biking, let's say, and they're working their way up through the various grades, it's like one day I'm going to ride Vantaline. I'm going to get to the purples, and
that's
I
cool.
never really thought about it like that. Yeah, it's cool.
I mean,
full progression.
If you're just starting up and you find yourself on a blue, looking at like Vantaline, it can seem a whole world away. It can feel like me looking at Nikolai Rogatkin doing a twister. You know, like I don't know how to do that. That's ridiculous. But the reality is, you don't do that. You work your way up through the grades, and before you know it, it's not even scary. It's not scary going from it's scary going from a green to a black, but it's not scary going from a red to a black and then from a black to a purple.
A purple, yeah. True. That's
should be called Vanta. It should be called the purplest of purples. What's that?
Aubergine.
It should be called aubergine, Laurie. Yeah. So so that was my first tip on riding a new trail. Is don't overcomplicate things. Don't try and remember everything. Just break it down into key things that you have to remember. So for Vanta, it'd be the rock drop. There's one jump after an on-off that I would push through.
Okay.
Whoops! I ain't got no tips for you, bruv. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing through them. Keep your head screwed on, and then the jumps go a little bit. The big jumps go a little bit slower than you'd think. Anyway, so those are my own mental ones. I'm not telling you what to do. Those are the ones that I've looked at the track, and they're what I've been. You know, that they're the list. So the rest of the track, I don't have anything for. I don't have any one bit of. I actually don't even remember anything. I didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
The next thing is following someone. I can't. That is the most useful thing you can ever possibly do, and it can be really useful just to get used to following someone. And you read. Your brain is an amazing thing. It's better than any computer when it comes to reading what's going on in front of you and doing it without even thinking about it. So I can follow someone, see them case. I'm going at the same speed in theory, doing the same track, and I won't case. And it's because of something that's gone on in here without even knowing. So I think that is super, super valuable. If there is anyone you can follow, doesn't matter if they look like a gnarly rider, don't worry, just follow them through. Take everything they do with a pinch of salt. Just pay attention, but following is really, really worth doing. And you can always
I'm not a good follower. A good follower.
Well, I tell you what, if you become a good follower, you'll find it much easier to do a bigger line.
Yeah.
I would say. And then the next thing I would say is generally keep in the middle. So you've got pushing through a jump and you've got pulling up on a jump. Those are two extremes, right? You have to make yourself not do that. The likelihood of having to pull up that hard or having to push through that hard is very slim. So you have to sort of neutralise yourself, keep yourself at pH 7.7 or whatever the skincare brands do. But do you know what I mean? You have to just stay right in that middle point. So you hit a jump, you don't do anything creepy, you don't do anything funky, and the likelihood is it's going to work. You're going to get up in the air, see where you're at. You might overshoot, you might case a bit, but you're not going to case as much or overshoot as much as if you do the total extremes. And that is the end of my tips.
That's a really good. I like that. The last tip's really good, actually. Really, really.
Is
good.
it?
Just trying to stay. Yeah, just trying to stay in that sweet spot. I mean, it sounds obvious, but when you put it like that you don't want to push through too much. You don't want to pull up too much. Just want to stay in that nice little sweet spot. And I guess that comes after a few runs. You kind of figure out where that sweet spot is.
Yeah, but in your riding, you've got that sweet spot.
Yeah.
When you think about it, and like this, the same goes for speed as well. Don't go ridiculously fast at something. If it feels wrong, it's probably wrong. Like just just
especially
stay in the middle.
At a bike park where it's made by professionals. Yeah, totally.
Exactly. They're not trying to make it. They're not trying to make it like pull up for this one, push through on this one. You know, that's not the aim. When you ride like I guess Whistler's the best example in it. You ride something like
I've
dirt
never been,
merch,
but yeah.
it's pretty
I've
hard
never been
to get
to
it
Whistler.
that
Never
wrong.
done it.
There you go. We'll have to go sometime.
Ooh,
Yeah.
would love to. I'm meant to be going in August, but that's a story for another day. We'll see.
Nice.
We shall see.
Rad. So that is the end of my tips.
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type the Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!